Well, welcome back, everybody, to the second episode of the Baller Bros of Flooring podcast. I'm Phil Carey, and like always, I'm joined with my co-host, Joe Blodgett. Joe, how's it going?
I'm feeling good, Phil. I'm feeling great. I think round 2 of this Baller Bros podcast is really going to take us to the next level.
Well, we've made some changes. We'd like to inform all the listeners.
Please do.
First of all, we'd like to thank all the listeners and viewers who watched the first episode. We thought it was pretty good, but one of the things we thought really kind of brought it down a little bit, wasn't really as interesting, was that we talked about flooring.
It never is interesting.
And that's why we say flooring is boring.
That's right.
So I'm thinking maybe we just don't talk about it anymore.
Phil, let's give the people what they want.
That's what we're here for. So we talked to production, we talked to everybody, and we figured that no more flooring talk. We will have a guest this episode, which we will get a little bit there. He's a Spartan Surfaces person, so I guess that would be our...
That's what ties it all together.
That's as close as we get. We cannot start this off without thanking our last guest, Timmy D.
Timmy D was, it's hard when you bring a guest in like Timmy D because he was so good. How do we top that, Phil?
And we'd love to have Tim back. And Tim is bald. Ish.
He fit.
Ish. But, so we'll be introducing that guest later on. But we're thinking, where do we start here? Joe, what do you think we do? Where do we go? What's on the news? And it popped right in my head.
The biggest news going on. No matter where you look, there's the story.
Let's talk about Diddy.
We got to talk about Diddy.
I mean, come on. I don't even know where to start with this.
I think we all know where to start with this. How in the world does one man have 1,000 bottles of baby oil? And I think everybody heard that, and they were instantly like, that might be the craziest thing I ever heard.
But let me ask you a question. If you're in this house and you see 1,000 bottles of baby oil, you don't think it's weird?
Not if I'm at the freak off.
True. Now, let's start there. They're implicating all these different celebrities. We're hearing names. Yeah. We're hearing laundry list of names. It's getting wild. My thought, Diddy has his white parties every summer, major celebrities there.
Yeah.
From Howard Stern to people who own sports teams to professional athletes. And then he has the freak-offs.
Yeah.
I think they're different.
Oh, they definitely are.
Okay.
I think Diddy knows who wants to come to the freak-offs and who doesn't want to come to the freak-offs. I mean, when you first hear freak-off, it's almost Halloween time, so you think, well, it sounds like a Halloween theme event. But, you'd be sadly mistaken if you went to that bad boy dressed as a pumpkin thinking, this is what's going to happen here.
You won't be wearing that pumpkin suit for very long.
I heard some comedians say, sometimes when you get invited to someone's house party, you bring a bottle of wine. And for the freak-offs, maybe people brought bottles of the baby oil.
Could be a great point.
Because you can't possibly be on Amazon ordering 1,000 bottles of this stuff. It just would get out of hand.
I don't even know how, but some of the names that are being part of the freak-offs.
Yeah.
You could get into a dark web. You could get into I get into a rabbit hole I could be in for 3 hours.
Well, that's what happens. So if you get on your phone and you start clicking on things about Diddy rumors, you do. I read one where basically anybody that's died in the music industry of the last 10 years, it was Diddy who was involved with it.
Connect all the dots. It goes back to Biggie.
But here's the crazy part, is 20-some years ago when you had the East Coast, West Coast thing going on, right? Snoop Dogg was hardcore, right? And Diddy almost seemed like he was a nice guy. Well, it has flipped.
Wow.
Now Snoop Dogg is everywhere you look. He's a super nice guy. He's hanging out with Martha Stewart. And Diddy's the gangster who's killing everybody and having freak-offs. I'm like, the world has flipped upside down.
That's the point, because you go back to that. You have Death Row Records, the West Coast rappers, and they're gangsters.
Yeah.
You got Diddy dressed up in weird outfits dancing around with Mace.
Yeah.
All over the place.
It was like a trash bag looking ensemble that he rocked, and he waved his rollies in the air like he just didn't care, the whole nine. And where we ended up now, it's like, whoa.
And nobody wants to be attached to Diddy at this point.
The question is, Phil, let's say you and Bree, you guys were invited to the white party. You're dancing, having a great time. Diddy comes over and he says, "Hey, Phil, Bree, you guys seem like you're enjoying my party. Would you like to attend the freak off?"
I don't think he's positioning it like he's asking you to come to the freak off. I think he's positioning it, do you want to come to an exclusive after party?
Now, there's one person at Spartan Surfaces, when he hears after party, he's all in.
I think
we don't name names on the podcast, but I'm
Oh.
not saying he would partake. He just loves after parties.
Well, he would probably like to go there because they might have some bottles of wine in a Fiji bottle.
You know you would.
It's the only way you can drink it.
But well, and if you were asked to go to the freak off, like
I'm going to say probably no.
it'd be insulting to turn him down.
But you can't, like, I feel as though you make that decision to go to a freak off. He now has tape. He's got video.
Yeah, that's the weird part about
And
it.
he owns you.
He's got you, and no one anticipated that. Leonardo DiCaprio, was he at the freak off or was he not at the freak
I
off?
think he's at a white party.
You don't think he went?
I don't know. I don't know.
If I was a gambling man,
You would go freak off?
I think he's there.
I mean, there's a lot of names.
There are, and at the end of the day, this guy, whoever that guy is down in Texas, says he's going to start releasing these bad boys, and I'm counting down the minutes. Show me the list.
Show me the freak off list. I can go online and find out who was at the white party.
Who do you think the weirdest person? If the list comes out, who would be the weirdest person that you would never guess might be on that list?
Carrot Top.
Oh God, I would say Biz Markie.
You think?
Yeah. Back then, who knows?
Yeah, you know what? There was probably a lot. All those older 90, early 2000 rappers.
Howard Stern was at the white party.
He was.
Did he go the freak off?
I don't think so.
100% he did.
You think?
I think you're going to be surprised.
He's a super germaphobe.
Oh, well, maybe baby oil kills germs.
Good point. It's not hand sanitizer.
No, but it doesn't seem like anything could live in that amount of baby oil.
We'll end the Diddy conversation here, and let me ask you: does he ever see the light of day again?
No.
Me neither.
It's going to pile on top. My man is cooked. And that's got to be really difficult. You live your whole, well, at least the last 30 years of your life with everything you ever wanted. And now he's in cell block 6, and I couldn't imagine, like, the food. I mean,
do you think
no bueno.
If there's a potential chance he comes out, somebody might make sure he doesn't get out?
No, I think there is a 0% chance he ever gets out. But I see, the Epstein deal.
Yeah.
Like, if somebody doesn't want you to get out.
You're not getting out.
Yeah. I think if there's any politicians that are involved in this, he might not ever get out.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking the list goes outside of sports and entertainment.
Oh, I'm sure
I think there's a list of people that you don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah. I mean, if anything happens to Diddy, I would probably say it wasn't at Diddy's own doing.
Exactly.
I mean, how many times can we see this episode? Oh, some big name person goes to jail. Miraculously, they're gone now, and
And all the documents are sealed. Sorry.
Oh, the video camera just happened to not be running, and the security guard was asleep. I mean, it's just getting to a point.
It's a story as old as time.
I mean, I do love a good conspiracy theory, and that one I always kind of stayed away from. Was like, are politicians, are these people, are they whacking people? And I didn't believe it, but things are piling up here, Phil, and I could start to see that it is true.
We could have a Bald Bros podcast on conspiracy theories. We could find somebody that works here that's very into conspiracy theories, and we can include them in that episode.
Well, there's a handful of people here that are big into it. My man Kyle Keating down in Florida.
Oh.
Big ups to Kyle down there. Stay safe during the crazy hurricane season that's going on. He can take you down a rabbit hole when it comes to pyramids.
I actually did not know that.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's the best part about this is that we find out what people are into outside of what we do every day.
Yeah.
And some of them are weird.
I mean, there's one conspiracy. I mean, I could write books on it that I know is true.
Indulge me.
I'm obsessed with the fact that the CIA killed JFK. And even right now, as I say it out loud, I got to watch myself.
I might not comment on that.
Would you say you agree or disagree?
I would say that it was definitely not a random solo shooter.
Yeah, some rando guy just sitting up in the book depository taking shots out there.
Yes.
And there's way too much smoke. And the fact that today that the government still doesn't release documents that are 50 years old and should have been released 10 years ago, and AG's saying, hey, we can't release it. I'm like, come on. Like, at this point, something is up.
All right, well, for our safety, we'll stop there.
Yeah.
All right.
So at the end of the day, Diddy screwed. The baby oil thing is hysterical. Let the list come out, and I think it'll add years of fodder to this podcast.
I agree. So, and we both agree Diddy goes to jail, not getting out of jail.
In jail, not getting out.
All right, so our next topic here, and by the way, for those of you that are watching on YouTube, Joe brings nothing. I have the show notes. So
I just bring my pretty face and a great personality to this entire thing, and I'm ready to rock.
and a lot of insight.
Yeah, I know a lot of dumb shit, Phil. So
All right.
this is an easy one for me.
This is a pretty important topic, probably right around now.
Oh yeah, the most. It's a lot of discussions that go on in this.
It is, and everybody has their opinions, but almost on two folds. When is it appropriate to put seasonal decorations in a store, and when is it appropriate to put your seasonal decorations at your house? Let's start. You know what? Let's start with Halloween.
Yeah, Halloween. I mean, to me, it's simple. I mean, it's got to be in the month at which the event occurs.
Totally agree.
Right?
I'm totally fine with Halloween decorations being put up after October 1st. That's okay.
Well, and you kind of Halloween's interesting as you get into the fall season. So like right now, I was laughing as we were kind of talking about this. You know, Andrea puts up this thing. It's supposed to say "Hello Fall," but the O always falls down and slides off, so it just says "Hell Fall."
Oh.
So, you know,
So
you got to
now
be careful.
All your neighbors think that you hate fall.
Yeah, I know. We're angry about this, and I'm like,
I kind of like fall.
oh yeah, it's like I'm a huge summer guy. We're both big bronzers.
Yep.
But there's something about that crisp air that starts coming in. It's like, yeah, let's clean this out. I love Halloween. I love the movies that are associated with it. I love the Saw movies.
What's your favorite Halloween movie?
Well, Halloween is the number one movie by far. Michael Myers is like the greatest horror film. Like, I don't know what you would call him, murderer that are in these things. I mean, everyone loves Freddy Krueger.
Villain.
Yeah. I mean, The Mask is fantastic, which, fun fact, Phil, that mask that Michael Myers wears is a William Shatner mask from Star Trek painted white.
Did not know that.
What's the matter with me?
I told you, I know a lot of good stuff.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's true.
That's going to be great trivia for the listeners.
Yeah.
My favorite Halloween movie, Hocus Pocus. I love Hocus Pocus.
Listen, I'd be lying if I said I didn't like it either.
All right, there you go.
I'm a fan.
Now,
It is good.
Now, Halloween ends.
No, wait, Hocus Pocus 2?
Okay.
Yeah.
Hocus Pocus 1.
Great.
Always the OG one.
I'd put it in top 20.
Me too. It's the only movie that I think of when I think of Bette Midler. Is Hocus Pocus.
Yeah, I mean, who puts Bette Midler as I mean, would people call her an actress or a singer? She's a singer,
Well,
right?
let me ask you, do you think Sarah Jessica Parker was better in Sex and the City, or was she better in Hocus Pocus? I say Hocus Pocus because I don't really like Sex and the City.
I never really watched it.
Well, it's
Yeah, because it
to
came
each
out,
his
was
own.
that a 90s show?
Probably.
Yeah.
You're too young.
Yeah, I am.
Maybe 2000s too, early
Yeah.
2000s. You're
And
watching.
there are shows I went back and watched. Like I was in college when, and we touched on that on the last one. You know, not the most prestigious college, but when a lot of big shows, Entourage came out,
Great.
Sopranos came out.
Great.
You know, of course, I didn't have HBO. I mean, I don't even know if we had cable. So I went back 10 years later and watched all those shows. And Sopranos, phenomenal show. Most people question that ending, and I think it was a phenomenal ending.
I liked it. I thought it was really
And
good.
Entourage was phenomenal.
Entourage is one of the best.
Yeah.
OC.
Loved OC.
OC was great.
California.
Gossip Girl, we love them all. In my opinion, you go Halloween, your Halloween decorations come down on October 31st.
Yep.
Then you can move into a fall leading into Thanksgiving.
Right.
But your Christmas decorations cannot be up before Thanksgiving. Thoughts?
I totally agree. And,
Okay.
Again, at my house, they would disagree with that. If I said I didn't care, I would probably have a Christmas tree up right now.
Right.
You-
You can't.
And we've actually gone, somehow last year, we had 2 Christmas trees. I don't even know how that's possible.
okay. You have something like a decorative tree, then your real tree.
Well,
We have 3 trees.
all fake though, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so,
I'd say that's our next episode. We talk real fake trees.
well, I got to tell you right now, like, because it's too important to this conversation.
Okay.
We were real tree people, and then I was lazy, and we thought we'd go out and we'd cut the tree down.
Yeah. Family outing.
Yeah, I'm not a family outing
No,
guy. We got there, I was like, I'm not cutting this tree down. They have perfectly good trees right over here that I can just throw on top of the car, and we can be on our merry way.
We know
I think they came from
I
the
know where
Carolinas.
this is going to go.
Yeah, you put it in the house, you get it all square. Like a month later, I looked inside the tree, and it looked like the tree was growing like these black moles all in it. And I'm like, what in the world? I Google it, and they're like spider eggs. So when you take the tree from outside, inside, they hatch. And boy, did they. The entire inside of the tree was covered with these spiders. I got a vacuum. I'm in that bad boy vacuuming it out. And everything said, don't pull the tree out because they'll get everywhere. So I had to leave the tree. Christmas presents had dead spiders all over it. And from that point forward, fake tree people.
It's a lot to unpack.
It is a lot. And now I have 2 fake trees.
If there was a spider in my house, there'd be a major production. If there were spiders in the Christmas tree, we would sell the house.
Yeah. Daddy Longleg would freak everybody out?
Everything. No, we're not. We are not very, very big. Insect people, bug people.
My buddy used to tell me this all the time. Did you know that the daddy longleg is the most poisonous spider?
No.
Yeah, but the fangs are not strong enough to puncture your skin.
What do? Climb inside you and you choke?
Well, they just don't kill humans, but if you happen to encounter one when you have soft skin, be
that
careful.
That was a technicality question.
Yeah, gotcha. So what about you guys? Are you at the end of the day, December 1st is technically when they should go up, but I feel like the older we get, the earlier.
I just can't walk into a Costco and see Christmas decorations in September.
Oh, Lowe's is decked.
I mean, it's insane to me.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you live in Florida, you can't walk in there with shorts on and start looking at Christmas decorations. It just, to me, it just doesn't sit right.
Well, the biggest thing is like when you hear Christmas songs, there's this feeling of I don't know how to even describe it.
Got a little pep in your step.
You know, it's Christmas time.
Yep.
I hate hearing the songs when it's not time to hear them, and that just annoys me. Like when a rerun occurs of some show, sitcom, and it's the Christmas show that they're running in July, can't stand it. But the second I start hearing, who are you going to hear first, Phil? What's the first Christmas song that you need to hear that you know it's almost Christmas time?
Mariah Carey.
Of course.
I mean, it's a layup.
Yeah.
When I hear that, it goes into my whole philosophy about the Northeast. I feel as though people, Washington, D.C., all the way Northeast corridor to Maine, you don't realize how bad the weather is because you're masked by the holidays. Hey, Thanksgiving's cool.
Yeah.
People have traditions. Oh, hey, Christmas is awesome. And then New Year's, everybody celebrated New Year's. And then on January 3rd, you realize, oh, wait a second. It's 36 degrees gray, and it's going to be like this until the middle of end of March.
Yeah.
That's when it hits you.
And I think that's why they shove all those holidays at the back to avoid people getting depressed by the wintertime. But you're right. We're all having a good time. There's parties. There's events. We're just enjoying ourselves out here.
Time.
And
great time.
And we talked on this before. Like then January 3rd comes. You've gained 15 pounds. You're a little bit droopy, and you got to get your act together. But you'd rather go, hey, let's take a vacation.
Yep.
Like we're February vacationers. It kind of breaks up that last
like that
bit.
Idea. We're more March, and it kind of bridges it. But I know where you're getting at.
Yeah, I convinced myself March 1st is like spring, but that's not really true.
You get like that windy rain. It's miserable.
Yeah, but
all right. So I think we've touched enough on that. I feel as though you have to stay season appropriate.
Yeah.
October is Halloween.
Wait a second. Do you hang your own Christmas tree or Christmas lights?
No, we do not.
Yeah. Well, you said we. Like, I mean, you. So you don't. You hire someone to put them up?
We have a service.
Oh, you do?
We have service.
Yeah.
It's called Bright Lights.
My service.
No free ads.
My service is Andrea.
Oh.
She loves putting up Christmas lights, and she knows, like, if it was left up to me...
Wait. Interior stuff I do. Are you talking exterior lights she puts up?
It's embarrassing, but it's true.
She's on a ladder out there putting up the lights. Are you there to help in case something happens? Is this happening on a Tuesday?
We're going down a rabbit hole. It might be a Sunday. I'm probably watching football.
Hold on for a second. Before we get into our next topic, I just got to ask a question on this. You're laying on the couch watching football. She's outside putting the Christmas lights up, and it's cold. Now, when she
probably picks a warmer day.
When she comes back in the house, does she resent the fact that you were sitting? Does she remind you that she just did a bunch of stuff outside?
No, these are again, and maybe I'm just trying to mask my own insecurity about all this, Phil. But these are the things that she likes to do. Like if you get Nokia furniture, I can't put that together. Like I mean, I can, but it's one of the most frustrating things on the planet. I swear, she likes doing that kind of stuff.
All right.
It's not the most manliest thing to say, but she goes out there and she hangs those lights and puts the furniture together, and I'm
just wondering on a Sunday now if Bree went out and hung a whole bunch of Christmas lights up,
You'd hear about it.
and I was horizontal watching the Eagles game, I would hear about it. I don't know if I would necessarily hear about it, but I would know I should have been out there.
Well, I probably know I should be out there.
Good point. Great point.
I mean, I probably wouldn't even put them up. Like the inside of the house, I want it to be festive.
I have to be.
And I'm a huge candle guy too, so I love it to smell like sugar cookies, pine needles, even though my trees are fake. Phil, I also don't put the tree together.
Oh, really? I do.
There's a lot of judging, I feel like,
Whoa.
going on across this table. And when the listeners hear this, maybe I won't get fan mail.
The only person that's going to agree with everything that you're saying would be KJ, because he doesn't do any of that stuff, I'm sure, as well.
That might be true, but Trish isn't doing it.
That's also a great point. I also know who hung their Christmas lights up once.
Yeah.
Ben and Doug.
Ben and Doug.
Yep. Shout out to Ben and Doug.
Holler at you.
Yep. We could say this as we end this. Halloween till October 31st.
Get the month.
Thanksgiving until Thanksgiving Day. The day after Thanksgiving, go for it.
How about
Christmas can go, and then it's up to everyone. I don't judge people that leave their Christmas tree up until middle to late January. That's your prerogative.
Yeah, I see some people when I drive by their house. I can see it.
Still got the lights
Got
up.
their tree up?
Yep.
People do love their tree. It is nice to have.
It is nice to have.
It's quite festive.
It's actually pretty weird too. You put a tree in your house and that's like festive. It's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Next topic here. And this was a little bit interesting as we were trying to think about it, because it's become something pretty big that I get involved, I think, in a couple too many of the leagues. My wife's involved in a league that we have. Fantasy football.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're in multiple fantasy football leagues.
Usually I am too. This year there was a league called the Garage League because we hung out in the garage and we
Right.
drafted, but
Right.
it fell apart this year. So just one for me,
Was that the same garage crew when you had that one incident?
pretty much.
Yeah.
No, that was for Man Days.
That was a different event. I think fantasy football is good. Some people don't like it. It's the same conversation that people have about the red zone. Instead of watching a game, you're watching the red zone unless your team's playing. You're flipping back and forth. I think fantasy football takes the casual or non-existent fan and gets them a little bit more involved on a Sunday or Monday night game.
100%. I mean, everybody's involved now. I mean, people give credit to Roger Goodell for the last 10, 15 years and the expansion of the NFL. And I'm like,
His paycheck would show that.
yeah, he hasn't done anything.
Yeah.
Fantasy football is really what has taken the NFL and just blown it up, and why every single game on a Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, sometimes we got 2 games on Monday nights, it's because you have players playing in it. And
Yep.
now with the online gambling,
Oh, it's a whole nother thing.
I mean, you can turn every dumpster fire into a glorious game with all the bets you can put on it.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm on it could be Thursday,
Yeah.
and I could have my wife go be texting or asking me, "Hey, C. Kirk, should I start him?"
Yeah.
No first names. She knows no first names. Patrick Mahomes is P. Mahomes.
P. Mahomes.
Everybody is first initial there,
Yeah.
projected points, and very into it. So on Sunday, when the whole family comes walking through, and they may want the channel change. Maybe they want to watch Hocus Pocus too. And I'm like, I'm a little invested in this Colts Steelers game.
Yeah.
And I could look at her and say, you got 2 players playing. I just bought myself 30 more minutes of football.
She's all in.
Yep.
Totally agree. Andrea is actually, she is in 2 leagues. So if what you're watching here is like, I'm getting, what's the term? Is it demasculated? My wife's in 2 fantasy leagues. She hangs up the Christmas lights. I don't even know what I'm doing at the house. I should just.
You're a staff member.
I am. I'm just
Yeah,
there.
you're a staff
I'm just
member.
wasting air, eating the food.
You're there for a good drive on a weekend.
I do drive.
Yep.
I got that going for
You
me.
got multiple. You're going to multiple directions with the kids.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a lot going on with the kids all the time. But in the football world, I mean, the fantasy's great. The gambling is fantastic. It's getting, as long as they don't screw it up. I mean, all these flags and all ththese penalties, like that. That's where it's going to go. But it's 2024, Phil, and as a Washington fan, the upsetting part is the name is terrible, the stadium is old, but the team's
good.
is fantastic.
Team's good.
I'm talking top 3, Phil. Like, I think the stats they're showing today, they said they haven't done since, believe it or not, like 1991.
We're not going to do an overly deep dive into our NFL thoughts here. We might lose some listeners, but I'll tell you this:
A lot of Skins fans out there.
Your Washington, I think, is a top 3 team in the NFC today as we have this conversation.
I would go as far as to say they're a top 3 team in the entire NFL. It's probably Minnesota, Kansas City, and us. And you've heard it here first, Phil. We are a Super Bowl contender. And that is...
I'm going to write this down. Take a future on Washington.
We'll write it down. It's just a fact of the world. And this week they got the Ravens. So this should be quite...
The Battle of the Beltway.
It is on like Donkey Kong. So, yeah.
I know this is going to be a bad take, but I find Ravens fans a little weird.
Yeah, they wear a lot of Zubaz pants. Do you remember those from back in the day? Yeah. And of all colors, I hate purple.
I mean...
Yeah, you're right.
Your team left in the middle of the night.
Came back. Ravens.
I mean, I get it. It's Edgar. You're naming your team after Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah, and I mean, how many people knew that Edgar Allan Poe was from Baltimore?
I did only because I saw a show on it.
Oh, you did. Well, there you go. So yeah, well, look, we don't want to offend anyone here.
Anyone,
but at the end of the day,
we like everyone.
Yeah, but 36-14 is going to be the score. And people will probably start talking about us as the best team after this week. So you heard it here first. Write that down.
We'll just write it down here. If this happens, I'll be pretty amazed.
But, and again, if anyone from the Washington Commanders happen to listen to this podcast, I have a very simple solution to the whole thing.
What?
Go back to the Washington football team, bring back the logo and the colors, and let's move on. And the world
kind of like that. I like that.
Yeah.
It was cool.
It's a happy medium.
Isn't that in the NHL? They just did that. Utah, they moved the Arizona Coyotes to Utah, and they're the Utah Hockey Club.
Yeah,
and it's cool.
It is cool. And for me, as growing up as a kid, like you don't realize how much that logo to me is like, one of the best logos in all of sports.
Yeah.
And there's nothing offensive about it, from what I hear. So let's go.
All right. Moving on. This one I really liked. Monetizing your 15 minutes of fame.
Yeah.
I mean, we see a lot of people out there. I'm not the biggest social media person. Ironically, if you want to talk about social media, we'll tie this back to flooring here. If you're the owner of Spartan Surfaces, his name's Kevin Jablon, and you want to prove to him that you're an extremely hard worker and very connected, just post stuff on LinkedIn. That's all he looks at.
Loves posts.
He loves posts. Loves LinkedIn, loves posting.
And he's a zoomer and a picture taker.
Yeah, zoomer, screenshotter.
Yeah,
You think he saves all those screenshots?
No. He sends, deletes,
and then moves on to the next thing.
Then he's off.
All right, fair enough.
Yep.
Question for you.
And you should rephrase that. You are a social media guy. You're not an enormous poster.
I'm not an enormous poster.
But I can guarantee you that Instagram time.
More of a Twitter guy.
Really?
An X. I'm more of an X guy than anything. That's where I get all my news.
Yeah, well, I like to go on there too, and if something big happens in the news, I'll search that.
I would say,
and then I'll read all the crazy
in order.
posts.
Do you have Facebook?
I do.
Do you have Instagram?
I do.
Do you have X or Twitter?
I do.
All right, time spent in order.
It's probably the Gram, Facebook, Twitter.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm Twitter, Instagram, Facebook.
Okay. Yeah. Facebook, I don't know. I just feel like I'm getting bombarded with nonsense on that thing now.
I'm telling you, we'll get into, I feel as though I look at you and I say something like, wow, I love green coffee cups. And on Instagram and Facebook, I'll have 87 ads for coffee cups.
Yeah. Again, you talk about the conspiracy theory people. Everyone's like, oh, my, they're listening. I'm like, yeah, you know what? For me, I know they're listening. I'm okay with it.
I'm okay, too.
I'm like, what? I don't know what I'm going to say.
No one's come to my house yet for any outlandish things I've said, so I'm okay with that.
Yeah. If there's a knock on the door and Mr. Google's there.
Yeah.
Hey, I heard what you said, Dov.
We've on all the multiple mainframes that you have here, we've heard a lot of conversation.
Yeah, because I got the Google.
Oh, we got it all.
They're all over the place.
Apple TV, we have it. They're all listening.
Yeah.
They're all sharing.
Yeah, and then and we've seen it firsthand. You mentioned something by your Google Home, and booyah, you got yourself an ad.
And guess what? I'm sometimes buying.
Oh, I'm
a lot of
Phil. So the amount of times packages show up at the house, and look, you're having a couple drinks. It's the end of the night. You're watching Instagram or you're on Facebook, and it just peppers you with these things. And it's all total BS, but I just can't resist it. I mean, I'm trying to figure this golf thing out, and the amount of these little golf things that are happening, chaos. But I've found some of the best clothing lines. One we've talked about. Twillery is great.
Fantastic.
Facebook hooked me up. The other one was Chubbies.
Yep.
And if you went back 6 years ago, I'm telling you, and Andrew always refutes this, but I always say, like, I'm a trendsetter, and people don't realize this, in the fashion world to some degree.
You know what? Every time I think of you, I think of that.
I know.
Yep.
But the Chubbies,
Yep.
I was the first one rocking Chubbies, right? I can guarantee
I know you were.
I was first.
You were one of the, and listen, I like a 7-inch seam. You're not afraid of a 5-inch seam. You like a good short shorts.
Phil, some of those are 4.
Is that, are they, does Chubbies make a 4-inch?
Oh, yeah.
All right, there you go.
And then on top of it, I mean, I sound like a total fat ass, but I also love an elastic waistband.
Oh, who doesn't?
I mean, they're nice.
I mean, it's age appropriate wear.
Yeah. So here I am finding fashion. Yes, I do like a small.
You know what you are? You're functional fashion.
Yeah, that's true.
That's who you are.
That's why I started wearing Nikes, because maybe it's my age. You wear dress shoes; they're just not comfortable. And you started to feel it.
Agreed, but you're also sometimes choice of shoes. You should dress shoes. Has your shoe game gotten a little bit better? Because there was a time we went to a shoe shine place in Penn Station.
Yeah.
And you refused to get a shoe shine because your shoes were made of plastic.
Yes.
All right, we've evolved.
Well, I mean, the Nikes are made of real leather.
Yeah, that's true.
But if you buy a $50 dress shoe from, I guess, the Nordstrom, maybe it was Nordstrom Rack.
I'm going to say probably Nordstrom.
And I didn't know for a fact, actually, when you were getting that shoe shine, that it wasn't real leather. I was 80% sure. And it wasn't until I was walking, carrying some stuff up a curb that I nicked the shoe, and then booyah, I confirmed it. It was almost like biting the outside of an M&M, like the candy shell fell off,
the shell broke off, and you saw what was behind it.
And there it was.
Yeah,
I was like,
that definitely happened.
And I was like, damn it, I knew it.
But getting back to social media, fame can come very quickly from social media in many different ways.
Mm-hmm.
It could just be one statement that you make.
Yeah.
Which brings us to someone who has taken social media and multiple platforms by storm, the Hawk 2 girl.
Yeah. And it's almost insane. I mean, she is the fastest rocket ship of fame that I've ever seen. I woke up the next day and it was everywhere.
Everywhere.
And you had to look it up and be like, what in the world's going on?
She's going on stage with performers.
Yeah.
As the celebrity on stage. I've heard in the ballpark of $30,000 an appearance.
That's insane. I heard she's getting her own reality show. And the other girl that was with her down in Nashville when
her friend.
Yeah. Right? They're like, she's now catapulting with her. So they're doing all kinds of crazy stuff together.
I mean, it's amazing.
But the list of these 15-minute, because again, I'll be honest, I'm over it. When I first saw it, I was like,
entertaining.
It was.
I like when you can monetize things like that. I find it entertaining.
And
good for. Unless, guess what? Well, I'm not criticizing her at all. I think it's great what she did. She took it and she, like a rocket ship, and ran with it.
Well, you got to be smart. The second you get that opportunity, when that 15-minute clock starts counting, booyah, you better figure out how to monetize that. I watched. You ever heard the Meet Me Outside girl?
It's Catch Me Outside.
Oh, Catch Me Outside.
Uh-huh. And
do you know what her net value is now?
Well, I think she made a lot of her money on OnlyFans.
Well, and she made a record. She did a lot. She signed a record deal.
What is her name? It'll come to me, but keep going.
So I think that was Dr. Phil, where she was what was it? Catch Me Outside.
Catch me outside. How about that?
Now let me ask you this. Now we're gonna want to go back into that. Do you think that was an act on Dr. Phil, or she was really acting like that?
Well, all those shows, it's almost impossible to figure out who's real and who isn't.
True.
You go back to Phil.
Are you telling me Dr. Phil was a reality show?
Yeah, I think all of it's
all
all
done
up.
Where your head's at.
Or you go out there and find the most insane people.
Mm-hmm.
Go back in the day, you had the Phil Donahue.
Phil Donahue, yeah.
Well, who was the crazy one who had just the most, the late 90s? What was his name?
Jerry Springer.
Jerry Springer was the best.
I mean, I think one year in college I almost failed out. I watched so many. I never
Yeah.
watched Jerry Springer. It was on from 10 to 11 in the morning.
I mean, it was just insane, and everybody watched it.
Now, I think that was scripted a little bit.
I mean, it'd have to be.
Have to
I mean,
be.
some of the stuff that was going on there, you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
And I think, if I took a guess, I think some of these things. But Catch Me Outside hit, and she rolled, and she made a boat ton of money.
What's her net worth?
It was like $30 million.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Good for her.
So if you can come up with just one bizarro phase that the world grabs a hold of,
You think that could be us with the Ball Bros?
yeah, but we got to come up with a good catchphrase,
Yeah.
and they got to catch you like that.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point. But no, I think I like them. There's also these like family from North Jersey that sing songs. We Bring the Boom.
We bring the boom. That's what we do. We bring the boom.
Yeah,
They're taking the world by storm.
you showed it to me. That was the first time I mean, it hasn't hit Maryland yet.
Was your head bopping a little?
It was, of course.
Bet you go home today, you tell your kids, you ask your kids about the We Bring the Boom people, and they're gonna know who they are.
Yeah.
And I love it. I love anybody who tries to take some sort of gimmick that they do and make it into something. I
Oh
love
yeah.
it.
Well, remember the pajama people? It started out, I think, with like a Christmas jingle, and there was a family in their
Oh,
in
yeah.
their PJs, and they ran for a long time.
The amount of people that watch other people's lives is insane to me.
Oh yeah.
Like my kids tell me about this Australian family, the Norris Nuts. I can't stand them, and guess what? I never gave them a chance, but I just know I can't stand them.
Well,
So-
there was that. Man, I watched this documentary on Netflix where this guy, him and his fiance,
Sister wives.
No, they documented everything, and they became uber popular. Everyone's just watching their lives, and they looked like they were the best couple on the planet.
The Chrisleys?
But then the guy got busted for being on that website.
Oh yeah, they always get
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
Like there's always a story.
Yeah, what was that website? It was for married people that wanted to cheat. Don't say it too quick. Bree might be watching.
I actually don't know.
There's a documentary on Netflix, and it was the same thing. People just got
We watch it. Ashley Madison.
Ashley Madison. Everybody got into it. I mean, this guy, they seemed like they were the best on the planet. When you talk about social media, I mean, it's the same thing. It's fake. It's almost like the Phil Donahue show because people put on there what they want people to
Oh
see.
my! That's why it's called Fake Book.
It is definitely.
You see like these beautiful family pictures of people, and like
I know what's going on.
I know what's going on behind closed doors there, but they look like they just got out of a Hallmark card.
Yeah, I'm like, I know one thing. You're not nearly as happy as any of these pictures show you to be.
And you don't even have to see you don't have to know the people to know it's a lie.
I just know, like that's a fact. Like I was with you last week. You know, this is
is
all
not-
this
it's
is
not.
all a lie. But yeah, the 15 minutes of fame thing is real. If you happen to, like I said, if it comes by your radar screen, grab a hold, make as much money as you can,
And ride it until it dies,
because it's going to die,
and move on.
And then
move
when it
on.
does, I mean,
Hopefully
then you just become. The problem is they don't realize the 15 minutes is awesome, but after that, people are done with you and your saying, and you almost just become this joke. And that's what you have to realize. I'd be okay with it. I'd take the 30 million. I would take the 15 minutes. And if people just wanted to make fun of me for eternity, remember Octomom? Like all
Yeah.
that stuff. I'd take it.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. All right, we've got a couple more things here. What are your thoughts on eating contests? And this kind of spiraled it from, we talked about this earlier in September's show notes coming from hot dog eating contests.
Yeah, I was on vacation down in the Outer Banks, big house. We had like 36 of us, a ton of people, and it was over the holidays, the 4th of July, and I think it was ESPN or ESPN2, just ran these things, and we were just watching these guys. I mean, in addition to the hot dog, there's guys over there that just guzzle like 2 gallons of lemonade.
Oh, there's all types of stuff you can get involved in.
Yeah.
If you look up Joey Chestnut, who is the hot dog eating champion, and see all the other things that he's the champion of, it is mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Now, fun fact, Joe.
Oh, lay it on me.
There is a Spartan Surfaces employee. We've had him on a previous podcast. Friend of the show, friend of Spartan, Jeff McBride.
Yeah.
We did an interview with him. He is one of our directors in the Northeast. He competitively ate and won an oyster eating contest. Do you know what the number was?
I think I've heard this. Is it 100?
It's over 300.
That's insane.
Yep. 300 oysters. He said he's never been so
You ever
sick.
seen a jar of
He
oysters?
said he was eating them 10 at a time. They were
Yeah.
in cups.
That's crazy.
But he also ate. I don't think it was a specialty plate of food. He ate 2 of them. We'd have to have him on one.
We can
time.
get him on.
Friend of the show.
I was in Alabama one time, and it was, they had these buckets of crawfish, and you know me, I love crawfish. I have
You
Crawdaddy
do.
Festival every
You know how
single
to-
year.
But I feel like with a crawfish, you have to know how to peel them
That's
properly to enjoy them.
I mean, it's easier than shrimp.
Okay. Oh,
And,
all right.
We were down in Alabama, and there I was just housing these things. And at one point, the waitress came up to me, and she's like, you're only about 4 pounds from the record. And I was like, what's the record? She was like 17 pounds. I said, I'm that close. But Phil,
You think you ate 13 pounds of crawfish?
I mean, again, if you get a crawfish, you only eat about 10% of it.
Okay.
So yeah, I could eat those things quite a bit, but I also had some alligator.
How was that?
Chicken.
Yeah.
And drinking some beers. So I was like, I thought, okay, well, I can do this, right? You've put this thing in front of me. I'm going to go for it. Nah. I mean, at that point, I was like another pound, and my body was so extremely bloated from the salt. It wasn't going to happen. So, and it didn't. I failed.
Sounds like you.
But the hot dog thing, I mean, when you do watch it, you almost feel sick. Like I'm
it's
like,
disgusting.
It is.
It's really disgusting.
It's terrible. And I've never seen. They should hook somebody up.
And I love hot dogs.
I do too.
One of my favorite meals.
I'm a 2 hot dog guy.
Always.
Eating 87 of them is crazy.
Yeah, you do 2 hot dogs and some fries, or 2 hot dogs and a bag of chips. It's a nice meal.
Dipping the bun into the
wa-
water is disgusting.
That's just a competitive eating strategy. You're not even enjoying anything at that point.
Well, you are allowed 1 condiment.
You are.
Yeah.
What would be your 1 condiment on a hot dog?
Am I going for the competition, or am I just putting it on there?
You're having your 2 hot dog meal.
Oh, yeah. If I only had 1, I'd go with mustard.
Absolutely.
But that's not how I would normally do it. I'm a ketchup and mustard guy, and if I can throw some onions on there, perfect.
I don't eat ketchup on anything but fries. It's the only thing I put ketchup on.
Not a hamburger?
Nothing else. Nope. Nope. Not on an egg sandwich.
So what do you put on the hamburger? Just mustard?
No, I do.
Mayonnaise?
I don't do condiments on my burgers. I'm lettuce, tomato, onion. But I'm not a big condiment guy.
That's
on my-
bizarre. So are you a fast food guy that puts special requests in?
Yeah, always.
Oh, that's terrible. Again, Andrea is too, and we go through, and I'm like, and she wants to order off the menu like we're at a 5-star restaurant or something, some nice place. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, they're pre-made sandwiches. Like,
You want to see the world end? Throw a pickle on a Chick-fil-A sandwich at my house. I'm okay with it. My wife, she'll lose her mind.
really?
I can, a pickle is even in the vicinity of something. It can't even touch it. It's questionable if it's on the plate, but if we go to a restaurant and they serve a pickle on it, we have to put the side plate over, pull it over. It's a production just to make sure that nothing's touching it.
Really?
Yep.
Again, there's multiple different types of pickles, but
And I respect that. I respect the love of the food that much that you don't like something.
you know what food I hate?
What?
Coleslaw.
Me, I don't like coleslaw either.
Now, I mean, cabbage and mayonnaise mixed together, not my thing. And then, you got people say, well, you've never had my grandmother's coleslaw.
it's always the same
And guess
story.
what? I know what your grandmother does. She puts sugar in it.
Yep.
So this thing couldn't get it more unhealthy the way it was until you throw the sugar into it. And I'm just like, ugh.
It's like when we go have our big sushi fest.
Oh, yeah.
We don't do eel. It's the only thing I keep away.
That's another one.
That's where I draw the line with sushi. I'll eat anything else.
I'm not a curry guy. I've tried 1,000 times. I want to be, but
I'm not either.
if you went in order with those things, there's probably only 3 foods that I'm not into. It's curry, I'm with you, eel, and coleslaw.
Coleslaw.
Everything else, come on through. I'm going to eat you.
Same way. All right. So, eating contests. Ugh.
Yeah. Well, the coolest part too was you could gamble on DraftKings
On the amount of hot dogs that were eaten.
on who was going to win it. So Joey Chestnut wasn't in the competition. So we were like, it's wide open.
What was
right
the
now.
backstory on that again? Do you know why he wasn't in it?
Yeah, because he signed with the vegetarian company,
Oh,
and so they wouldn't let him eat the
Regular hot
the regular hot dogs. It was like drama in the eating contest world. But again, It'd be like Mike Tyson not being able to box like in the 90s. You know, it's like
I agree.
he is the only one you're competing against. So again, there were odds and everything on the app, and we were all putting in our bets. There was one guy I was like, man, like, and they would show you the other competitions, like, oh, he ate 8,000 pies, and I'm like,
That's what I love. All the weird stuff they do.
yeah. And there was one guy I was like, I'm gonna take this guy. He was like 10,000 to 1.
Where the guy ate like 18 ghost peppers.
Yeah, just the most insane thing.
Like, I don't know how these people. I don't know how. And a lot of the really good ones are super fit.
Yeah, I don't even know how that could be.
I don't know
because
how
I don't
they
know how they train for it. I heard you guys in Philly have that wing competition,
Yep.
right? And I've heard to get into that, you have to be able to eat a dozen donuts and a gallon of milk.
Yep. There was. I don't know. I've never been to it, but there are. You have to do a task in order to get in.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I
Yep.
mean, and I think I was talking to Joey Lester about this. He, I think, said if you gave him Krispy Kremes and gallon milk, he said he could do it.
Joey Lester.
Yeah. Hey, next podcast.
Next podcast, or we video it.
Yeah.
And we put it on the YouTube. And
Yeah.
we put it on YouTube.
And again, I apologize if it wasn't Joey Lester. I'm pretty sure that it was. But again,
well-
here's a guy. He's skinny and he can put down a
Well,
dozen.
we'll get a fact check.
But he also has some I mean, it has to. He said it has to be like fresh Krispy Kremes.
I love like just glazed, regular glazed. Is that what he's talking
That's
about?
what he said. He
All
said
right.
they're very airy.
They are.
But I'm gonna go. I mean, if I'm gonna do it, you're giving your boy a Boston cream.
I love Boston cream donuts, but if I'm going to eat a glazed donut, I like the Krispy Kremes better than Dunkin'. Glazed.
Yeah. I guess I think I've only had them like next. I've never had these fresh Krispy Kremes that everyone talks about.
Well, maybe we're looking for a sponsor.
Listen, Krispy Kreme.
Yeah.
Throw it at us. We do need. We're
Said-
filling up quick, so.
Said it out loud. All right, we'll do one last thing here. Award shows.
Yeah.
Now, when I was in college for one of my 5 years, I lived for the VMAs. To me, the VMAs, the MTV Music Awards was the very end of the summer,
Yep.
like early September.
September,
It
yeah.
kind of ended the summer, brought you into school, but it was awesome.
Yeah.
Everybody watched it. It was real-time TV. I can't remember the last award show I've watched.
Yeah.
Are you into award shows?
Huge. Well, was.
Okay.
I think what happens is age gets you.
Mm-hmm.
So same thing. All about the VMAs. I used to watch the Grammys. I knew who all the artists were. Like totally into the whole thing. And then all of a sudden I was like, who are these people?
I'm telling you.
I'm like, I'm trying to see Britney Spears and NSYNC up here, and there's names. I mean, I can't even repeat them because I don't even know who they are.
I know some of them. You know, if I'm doing if I'm with the girls driving the games or whatever it is, I'll let them control the music and we'll listen to some people. I'm okay with some of them. I'll tell you this: there was chatter at the house to go to the Charlie XCX concert. It was on a Wednesday night. I ended up vetoing it because it just logistically wasn't going to work. In hindsight, we should have went to it.
I don't even know who that is.
I love a couple of her songs.
Yeah, if I hear the song, I usually would recognize it.
You'll like it.
Yeah,
Sabrina Carpenter. She's got a song I like.
yeah.
I
I probably know it. Luke Combs. Went to a Luke Combs concert. That was awesome.
love. We could do a whole show on
We
concerts.
definitely could. But that is
But
what's
the
happening
new
to me.
stuff, like
I mean, this is where age hits you because again, you listen to, and again, this is old people have always told you like
are we old people?
we're getting there.
Okay.
Because they would tell you, oh, your music's terrible, and you're like, what? Like, the music's good. Like, and now I'm looking at the stuff these kids listen to today, and I'm like, this is terrible. But how could they have said that about the late '90s, early 2000s
I think
music?
my parents were saying the stuff I listened to was terrible.
Like, have you ever heard Tekashi 6ix9ine?
I know who he is.
Have you heard the music?
I've never heard his music. How terrible is it?
On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being terrible, it's a 14.
Change your mood, any day. Gotti, hooking up, speed it up. Double
And he has hit songs, and I'm like, I can't
Actually,
imagine.
weirdly, you said that. I saw an article very early this morning that he signed to a label.
$6 million contract.
It's
And
unbelievable.
I'm like, I can do that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just not good. So I don't know. So and I was never like the Grammys again. That probably the more mainstream ones, but watch it, the Oscars. I mean, that is the most stuffy.
Ugh.
And again, this just showed Hollywood loves themselves some Hollywood. And when Ricky Gervais goes up there and he literally slays them.
Love it.
And I don't even know if they're smart enough to realize that he really is just killing them.
He doesn't. What I love about him is he just does not care.
He doesn't care.
No care.
Yeah. And I think they invited him back.
Are you kidding me?
Well, no. He did it. I think they asked him to come back because they were too dumb to realize he was just destroying them. And then somebody got smart enough and was like, wait a second.
He just goes up there and
he's just
roasts
going
them. It's a
ham on
roast.
us. Yeah, so.
But I do kind of agree, like, and even leading up to the Oscars, they'll show you the movies that are up for awards.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to tell you, if they have 6 movies for best movie, and I watched all 6, I might recommend one of the 6 to you. If you said, Phil, 6 movies, which one do you recommend? I'd probably recommend one.
Well, I used to wait. Like, I used to know all the movies that were coming out.
Yep.
You know, again, back in the early 2000s, like, I could tell you every movie that was out. And nowadays, I'm like, I don't know any of these movies. Well, I don't even know what they are. And then, I mean, anything that's up for Best Picture, come on now. Nobody watches those movies. And I've even tried to go and watch the ones that win. And most of them are just so bad, like, I can't even get through it. I don't even know what the...
We just watched the one, Oppenheimer.
Oh, that's a good one, though.
But I thought there was something wrong with my TV. I'm watching it. Sometimes there's a lot of sound. Sometimes there wasn't any sound.
Why would you think I'd do that?
Why? Why?
I think I had a nice TV.
Did that win Best Picture?
It was nominated.
Oh, it was. That might be one of the best.
And I'm a Cillian Murphy fan because I think Peaky Blinders is my favorite show of all time. So
Haven't seen Peaky Blinders.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, no. I got to get on that one.
100%.
How many seasons are there?
There's 5, I think.
That's not bad.
I put it up there with Sopranos. I put it up there with The Wire, which I think is the
Love
best.
The Wire.
It's phenomenal.
Boardwalk Empire?
It's better than Boardwalk Empire.
Ooh.
I like Boardwalk Empire, but it's better than it.
Yeah, I love Boardwalk Empire.
You know what? I might go back and watch Boardwalk Empire. We digress. So I think, what do you think? Do you think we solved the world's problems?
Of course we did. I think we did. Well, at least we educated some people on some things.
That they were probably not thinking about.
Yeah, and you just, maybe there's a different outlook they might have now on Diddy and...
Decorations.
Decorations.
Fantasy football.
Yeah, all the things.
And maybe some people are looking around and maybe they're not. Maybe they will watch an award show, come back and say, hey guys, you're missing out.
Yeah, so...
But we'd love to hear from people.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
So, all right, Joe. So, Joe, what's that sound?
It looks like our special guest is here.
Sounds like our special guest is here.
Come on in. Hey, welcome to the Ball Bros Podcast, my man.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Mr.
the one
Kevin
and
Dunn.
only Mr. Kevin Dunn.
All right, legend, Kevin Dunn.
Now, Kev, before you put your headphones on,
Yeah.
you're on the Bald Bros of Flooring podcast, correct?
I do. I see it. Yeah.
There's a stipulation here.
There is a stipulation here to be on the Bald Bros.
Okay.
Now, this is the first time we've had to do this because you're the first unbald.
You gotta
but
be-
this one,
Yeah.
this one isn't fully bald. It's kind of like balding. It's like bald transition or balding training wheels.
But because Kev has hair, we didn't want to totally blow him out and give him a weird bald wig. And I did get a bald one earlier, and it's a little weird looking.
That's all right.
It looks like
Mr.
something.
Furley-ish.
It looks like something that I don't want to get into. That's awesome. So Kev,
Yeah,
put
you
those
go.
headphones
Oh,
on.
That's okay.
Ladies
Yeah,
and gentlemen.
Yeah, put your
Mr.
headphones
Kevin
on.
Dunn.
Yeah, look at the front. Look at that forehead, man. That thing
Looks
looks great.
awesome.
You look good.
It's
You
great.
look good.
Big forehead got 5 head.
Yeah, I went bald when I was 19 years old, so I harbor nothing but gratitude for anyone else who either has to wear the bald wig or goes bald.
I actually did see you with a picture with hair.
Yeah, I have some. We can add it on here, Chris. I'm 42 years old, so when I see people starting to recede or they're like getting upset because they're going bald, I chuckle
I
inside.
tried to grow my hair long. Remember, I grew it real long that one time, trying to hide the balding.
Oh yeah.
I just looked like I was pulling up in a white van asking kids to jump in with candy and puppies.
How long ago was that, Phil?
I think the last time I really shaved was Thanksgiving of 2021. Thanksgiving Day. The day after Thanksgiving is when I shaved it.
Yeah.
Right before we put up the Christmas decorations. We touched on that earlier.
Booyah. But you know what? You look fresh, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
I mean, it's been a long time since. I mean, what's funny about as you get older, it's like you lose hair where you used to have it, and then like chest hair is a weird thing. Like, and that's all I gotta say about that. It's just something that happens, and you're like, I'm like a wild animal
Or
now.
back hair, like a weird back hair.
I don't have back hair, thank God.
Yeah, well, it's weird.
But the scary thing is getting really comfortable with it, right? Like initially, like, ooh, I don't know how I feel about that. And then you just kind of get used to it,
Yeah.
which is a bit challenging in itself.
If you have a back hair issue and you go to water parks, I've been on a water park. I'm holding my tube, and like I'm looking up the guy we're all going up the ladder together, and it's like,
Or you gotta.
I'd wear a shirt, or I'd wear one of those like tight swimming things, but just rocking that back hair.
Talking about a rash guard? You'd be wearing a rash guard?
I just couldn't.
Joe, you can't wear a bathing suit with a 4-inch inseam and then throw on a rash guard.
Well, if my back like looked literally like like I was a wild animal, like I don't know,
You
just
ever see those guys at the beach that they shave a weird thing here? So if you looked at them normally, they'd look normal, and then they take their shirt off, and it's just, they look like a bear.
yeah, I don't know how you. I mean, the people that shave down the whole bods, that's a tough cookie, you know. But I was on a cruise ship not that long ago, and Kay Dunn's a fan of the cruise ship, and you know the people there are always doing some weird stuff. Of course, there's some guy who like shaved a 6-pack in his.
You're kidding me.
It's ridiculous.
You do get a nice cross section of the
You
population
know, you do.
on the
And
cruise
you're-
ship adventure.
And you're stuck with them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You're gonna
Oh, yeah,
see
for a whole week.
you're gonna see them at the buffet. You might see them at the comedy show. You're gonna see them at the casino.
You see them everywhere. I mean, the casino people you really get to know. I mean, at 11 o'clock, every curmudgeon is at that craps table, and you know on a first name basis when it's all said and
Yeah,
done. The buffet of those things is interesting because you almost want to tell some people that are coming by, they have this like plate. I mean, and it is stacked, and you want to be like, hey man, that thing is not going to go anywhere. Like you do not need to stack it up like there's some famine that's going to be
They're not gonna
coming.
run out of food.
They're not running out. Like you're good. But they don't care. Like they do not. Once they sit down, I guess their rule is I'm not getting back up.
We've done it 2 years in a row now, and I've noticed consistency, especially in the second year. You know, both of the cruises were a week long, and I found that in that first 48 hours, you know, there's a vacation vibe, like everybody's best outfit, all of the things.
Yeah.
But then by like day 3, and especially by day 4, you see people kind of settle into their lifestyle, and then you have. Yeah, like, you know, the specific bar that somebody finds comfortable, or the specific buffet table, or the specific smoking section of the cruise line.
Come wheeling by. It's
Yeah,
really,
yeah,
there's
yeah.
Bill from Rochester again.
100%. Day one and two, all excitement all around. Everybody's checking everything out. By day 4, you kind of you see who's in that flow and what's going on.
You know where you fit on this ship, and I'm not judging because I'm on the ship.
Yeah. No,
Right.
of course, I love it.
And by day 6, some people are just ready to go.
I mean, you know, you go on vacation and people just kick it into vacation gear and things. I mean, the amount of booze and food that are just, you can see the consumption. I mean, that's all a cruise is. It's like how much stuff can you possibly shove into your body in 1 week's time? And people break records on that thing because it's astonishing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not a cruiser. Not into the cruise scene.
Well, here's one interesting fact for you there, Phil, as a non-cruiser. When at one of the shows on the last cruise that we were on, you know, one of the trivia questions was, "What's the average weight gain, you know, on a week-long cruise?" And in my mind, I was like, I don't know, it's got to be like, you know, it could be 3 pounds, maybe even 4 pounds.
Oh, I was going to guess 8.
And they said 8 to 10 pounds is the
Oh
average.
my God.
Which is so
On a
disgusting. I
7-day
mean,
cruise.
as a civilization, we have really hit rock bottom that we shove as many people as we can onto a ship. And hey, here you go. Eat as much as you want, drink as much as you want, and have at it. And people have no control.
The Carrie spent a little time in Italy this summer, and you can spot an American from about 40 yards away. You're just like, that's an American. They just have that look.
Oh.
Some of them are gigantic. Some of them are overly fit. Some of them are acting insane. But they all check some sort of box.
Yeah, we were at this restaurant one time, and I guess it was like a European theme, and they had, you know, the food on there. And when we ordered, even the waitress said to us, she goes, you know, these are European portions, and none of us knew what that was. We're like, well, what does that mean? And she goes, you know, they're smaller, and she knew. We're like, well, give us 2 of those.
So she knows you're not at the Cheesecake Factory.
She knows, yeah. Which again has a burrito that's like that big. I mean, they know what's up with America.
Well, you know what? Let's get back to our guest.
Oh yeah, Kevin.
All right,
welcome.
we could go off on a tangent like we just did for about 45 minutes.
Yeah, it
But,
happens.
Kev, funny, you, Joe, and I all started at Spartan Surfaces in about a 6 to 7 month span. So we've spent a lot. I think we're all coming on our 15th year, close to 15 at this
yeah.
point.
Because for me, it was July of 09.
So Joe and I started January of 2010. So yeah, 6 months. So we've traveled together. We've had some early Spartan shenanigans, some great calls from KJ. So we've dealt with a lot of different things. But one of the things is and we established this early on in the show, is that flooring and flooring conversation is something we don't want to do anymore on the show. It's strictly just, we want to know the guest. We want to learn a little bit about the guest. We talk about a bunch of current events, but let's learn a little bit about you, Kev. Where'd you grow up? Like, where's Kevin Dunn from?
Well, I'm from New York. I'm from Long Island. I grew up about an hour east of the city. So you have Nassau County and then Suffolk County, and I grew up right in the middle of Suffolk County. And I was there until college.
Okay.
And then I eventually made my way up to central New York, to Ithaca. And then...
No, quick question here.
Yeah.
You've spoken a bunch on this episode so far. And,
I'm a talker.
And I don't detect really any sort of Long Island accent. Now, friend of the company, member of the company, employee of the company, Chuck Scalacci.
Yeah.
His Long Island, New York accent actually got stronger as he moved away.
Most about working at Spartan Surfaces.
And it's never gone. Anthony Ferrante's, you can hear a little bit here and there. I feel like you kind of rinsed it. Like, we don't really...
Yeah, I think for me, I just talk quickly, or I did talk really quickly, borderline mumbling for a long time. And when I eventually got to college, which is a regional school, Ithaca College, you have a lot of kids from the Northeast, right?
Did we just talk about this? Is that the school that Road Trip was?
Yeah, that's Ithaca University, based in Texas.
Oh.
But it was based on Ithaca
You were
College.
halfway there, John.
That was close.
They took
Great movie, though.
Great movie.
You want to talk about good movies that should get awards?
Road
that's
Trip
one
is
of them.
fantastic. I agree.
Awesome movie.
Tom Green's finest moment.
It was. You better believe it.
Yeah, I think it's better than Oppenheimer.
Remember, he's like, what is that? He's like, what did you kill, a cheetah?
That's right. Yeah. So as far as like the accent goes, but if I'm talking to my family, or if I'm home for the weekend on the island, I'll start to pick it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So-
I never realized. I never thought about that. You don't have it.
Yeah, it's something that I've always found very unique with Kev. Now, you went from Ithaca College. Where did it take you after that?
Immediately, home for the summer, and then to Breckenridge, Colorado, where I met Megan, my wife.
Nice.
Holler.
Yeah. So we were hanging. We met there in Breck. We hung out for the winter.
Now, how long did you guys live there for?
For me, it was about 6 months, and I left. I was there for the winter. I got in
Okay.
just before. It was mid-October, just before Halloween. Is when my buddy Rory and I got into town, and then we had some kind of connections to sleep on some couches while we were looking for jobs, and then it all kind of fell into place. And it was about a month later when I met Megan, and we just had a great time. We skied all winter.
And then did that take you guys to DC afterwards?
Yeah, no, not. We went to Australia for a bit.
Wow,
And,
I did not know this.
This guy's living
Did
the
you
dream.
know this?
Oh, well, I didn't.
We've talked about it over the
We
years.
probably
but
have.
Yeah. We just choose not to listen
Was
to
it
each
after
other.
about was it after about 100
I'm
Coors
sure
Lights?
I probably knew this, but the moving home after college is an interesting thing. Like, I knew I was going to be unwelcomed.
Yeah. I felt like it was a placeholder for me for a minute.
Yeah.
I was there to get home and make a little bit of money, and then get back on that road and see what was
Just
what.
like gassing 7 beers on a Tuesday while you watch TV is it's a little bit frowned upon.
Yeah.
When you have no job.
You're like on your way to pretending to be an adult,
Yeah.
when really there's nothing adult about your daily activity.
Zero.
You're responsible.
Like coming home at 2:15 in the morning,
Right.
like that's
Totally normal.
That's not
and then when
liked.
your college house, I mean, that's just what you did, right? It's like, people might be sitting on the couch, hey, man, what's going on? Like, nah, parents.
It is so funny too. Like when you senior year, you think you're kind of mature, you have it figured out, or you know something, until you realize that's not reality.
You don't know anything.
That is reality.
You don't know anything.
Guys, I just caught a reflection of this thing on my head. I forgot that I was up here.
It's the best part of the show.
It's blending in.
Yeah, it looks great.
It blends in well.
I actually don't even think it looks weird.
I don't either.
I can pull it off. I'm shaving this thing.
Yeah, I'm all into it already.
Yeah.
So how long were you guys in Australia for?
It was about 6 months.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, so it was fun. I was. I had
Hey,
this
give us your best Australian accent.
I can't. Crikey. That's the best I got.
Not
for
good
you.
day, mate.
Yeah.
It's not a knife. This is a knife.
That's a good pull. That's a
Yeah,
good
Crocodile
Dundee
Dundee.
pull.
Yeah.
Both
Yep.
1 and 2.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice, nice. The whole Colorado thing was just I had
Placeholder?
A placeholder because I had a bunch of time. It worked out pretty well. I was like, thanks, Breck. Appreciate the wife.
Yeah. Dude, that's an awesome story.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
great. So now, how many kids? Where do you guys live now?
So we live in Reston, Virginia. Lexi's 16. She's an 11th grader. Mason is 14. He's a 9th grader.
Nice.
Yeah. So they're where we
All
now.
our
We're in the
kids
middle
are
of
in the
October.
same, right around the same age,
They're all going to high school.
dealing with the same
Busy.
nonsense.
They
Busy
think
with
they're cool.
everything. All of it.
Yeah, they think they're so cool.
So Lexi now is a 16-year-old. In Virginia, you get your license at like 6. If you do all of the driver's ed and prerequisite classes, you're eligible for your license at 16 years and 3 months.
Okay.
So this has been a big transition year for her, where she's driving all around and
Oh.
has all that extra freedom.
Now I know it can be a little different, but what's the whip that she's cruising in?
She's on her second car now. She had her first car was Megan's older SUV.
Yeah.
So when it was getting around time for her to get a license, she took Megan's truck.
Yep.
And she was good. She was a responsible driver, but she was at a party one night, and some kid decided he was going to drive backwards down the street and just drove right into this thing. And
That must have been a fun phone call.
Yeah.
Megan and I were with Mason's lacrosse team down in Wintergreen, which is a ski resort, golf resort in down outside of Roanoke, Virginia. And it was a Friday night, and
Let's
that call
make a
comes
note of that
in.
for the hospitality team. Maybe they can call them.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's right. Check that thing off.
Yep.
We'll get some
we got
calls in
somebody.
there. Yeah. So she was cool, man. She Lexi handled it really well. Megan, my wife, handled it really well. We were on speakerphone like helpless, listening to her talk to the Fairfax County Police. So we live in Fairfax,
Okay.
Virginia. Reston is in Fairfax, and I said, I was like, Lex, put it on speaker, so when you talk to the police officer, we could hear what he's saying.
he's saying.
Because she wasn't in the car. She was actually standing like on the front yard of
Everybody watching
of
the
this party.
kid drive backwards.
Yeah, 100%. This kid, like everybody's watching this kid drive in reverse with a bunch of kids in the car, and it was I think it was a brand new Bronco, one of those new
I'm
the
sure,
Jeep from
I'm
the
sure that
Broncos.
person's
Yeah.
parents were
Yeah.
thrilled.
Yeah. But I can tell you right now, if I was in high school, that guy would be my friend.
Oh, of course.
Good chance you'd be in
It's a
good chance
parlor-
you'd be in that
Yeah.
car.
It's
I
a
probably would be
parlor trick.
He'd be my guy. I'm
Oh
like,
my
hey,
gosh.
You'd be
Let's
riding
see-
check like, you got some room back there. You're good. You're good.
I would have jumped in that car. I wouldn't even fight.
He's my guy.
That's a great idea.
So yeah. So that was the first car, and then she now has a yes. What does she drive?
Yeah.
So we had to replace that thing with a Honda CRV. It's like a little compact SUV.
Yes. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yep.
Yeah, your first car matters. Like I paid $750 and I drove a 1987 Dodge Daytona.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm like, I even tried to look them up to see what I could get one for. It's like $5,000 for like this pristine Dodge
Yeah.
Daytona.
What was your first car?
Mine was a 1988. No, it was 1986 Ford Escort GT.
Oh.
Yep. Bright red, spray painted red in some areas, which I promptly totaled a couple months after having it. Then I moved on to a 1988 Hyundai XL.
Nice.
Both manual transmission. Legit.
Oh, me too.
Legit. Yeah,
Mine was a
Yeah.
1990 Ford Ranger,
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, yeah. whoa.
gold.
Well, I didn't know I didn't know you were rich, Phil.
It was gold. Yeah, you saw this thing. Stick shift.
Yeah.
No cab, just the 3-seater.
Yeah, the bench seat and like
Bench
that, and
seat.
there's no reclining in
No
that
reclining.
thing.
You're driving straight up, good posture.
That's right.
I mean, I don't know if I've ever actually driven a stick shift any long distances.
Oh, it's not bad.
No.
That's actually better.
I loved it. Yeah,
Me too.
it was my preferred for forever. Even as adults, we had Megan too. All of our cars were stick shift until we got into SUVs, and then all of those are automatic.
Well, they say if you don't want your car to get stolen now, get a stick
Because
shift.
nobody's how to drive.
Because no one knows how to do it.
That's right.
No one
that's
does.
right.
No
I took
one
my
does.
I took my driver's test when I was in New York. It was 17 17. Driving stick.
17?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's like a badge of honor.
I drove.
I know.
yeah.
40 years later, I'm
Yeah.
talking about it now. By the way, dude. You know.
Well, there's those things. My mom had one of those Chrysler vans with the wood paneling on
Oh,
the front.
Oh,
That's
love
Town and
those.
Country.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's funny. There's these
Town
things that
and
just
country,
like,
great pool.
yeah, it was like 30% of all people had certain things back then, and that was one of them. That was the family wagon. That's what I took my test in.
That thing got so popular because it was on the beginning of the Cosby Show. The whole Cosby family comes out of that wood paneled, minivan, the caravan, the first
half
one.
unconscious.
Yeah,
We'll
those
move on.
were station wagons.
yeah.
Those were station wagons. I think then they morphed it into the minivan.
Yeah, that Cosby family had the first minivan.
They
They
did.
did.
It was a sliding door.
Okay.
Town
Very
country, baby.
interesting.
Yeah.
Rudy Huxtable, the whole family.
Yeah. Did you ever think it was weird that they call it the Cosby Show, but his name wasn't Cosby in the show?
That was the Huxtable.
The
That's
Huxtables.
right. That's
Why didn't they call it the
I
Huxtables?
don't think I've ever thought about
Me
that.
neither.
Yeah.
And also, the Hogan family, wasn't the originally that show was called Valerie?
Changed a couple times.
Yeah,
Okay, Valerie's family, the
Jay-
Hogan family.
Jason Bateman fame.
Yeah.
He's got a phenomenal podcast.
I love
also.
Jason Bateman.
Yeah, Smartless.
He's
Smartless,
good.
is,
Yeah,
Smartless
it
is
is good.
fantastic. So now we're going to bring it in. We're going to tie it a little bit into like how we're able to do all of this.
Yeah.
But how did you everybody has a great how did they get to Spartan Surfaces story. So
Yeah.
how did you get to Spartan Surfaces? What's your territory? We've already established you've been here for 15 years, but what do you do here? And just tell us a little bit about how you got here, what you currently do.
Okay. Yeah. So I got here, like we said, in 2009. So if you back up 4 years to 2005, that's when I started in the flooring industry with Danny Boyle and his older brother, John Boyle.
Legend.
John owned a flooring installation company, and then he is a legend. I didn't want to gloss over that. You're right. He is a legend.
For those
I
of
was
you-
so in my head there
for
trying
those
to
of
answer
you
the
keep
question.
this-
Big up to John.
Yeah, for those of you keep this, we're not talking about Danny.
Danny's got legend status,
he
but,
sure
but,
does.
but there
He
is an
sure
OG,
does.
and it's John Boyle, 100%. And
He's
then
an
the
old
65
OG.
other siblings that they have running around in the flooring industry. But yeah, so I was working in the flooring industry from the summer of 05 through 09, and Danny Boyle had hired me with John Boyle, and it was the installation company was the big driver for the success of that business, and then there was the offshoot on the product distribution side of things. So it was a smaller version of what Spartan Surfaces eventually came. So it was a multi-line distribution arm to this installation company, and it was going well, and it was cool, and it was really good for me because I didn't know much about business in general. I didn't know much about sales, but there was a lot of freedom and opportunity to kind of go out and try a bunch of things in the DC market with architects, designers, developers, and then in some cases other flooring contractors. So we just kind of got thrown into this world.
Great place to cut your teeth.
Yeah, and it was in the mid 2000s there. So the 08 recession had not hit yet. Things were really thriving. 05, 6, 7, right? There was just a ton of energy around design firms in general, architect firms in general. So it was just an exciting new world for me to run around and jump in. And then the relationship with Spartan Surfaces wasn't there yet because Spartan Surfaces didn't exist, right? So KJ started Spartan in 07,
07.
January of 07. But I had known him because he had worked with Danny and John Boyle at that same company for a little bit before, and then we would catch up at trade shows and different events, and we just got along well. And I guess it was probably a year before, so somewhere in 08, Spartan was grabbing some legs and getting some traction in the DC market, and I was just curious to how that worked, how it was going for him, and I think Danny and I actually sat down, and John Boyle too at some point, just talking, really making noise.
Yeah.
That's normal. That's
Making a lot of noise.
Spitballing.
That's normal. I
Yeah,
can only
yeah.
imagine that room.
But yeah, somewhere in 2009, Kevin and Javelin wanted to make a bigger investment in the DC market, and I think on some level I was kind of traded. Is the way that it all worked out.
Yeah, you want this guy?
Yeah. Let's get this guy off our payroll. Yeah.
I was traded.
There was some cap space.
Some side
working
deal.
with the salary cap. It was a sign and trade.
That's right.
That's great.
Oh, that's amazing. So that's how you got to Spartan, and what's your current role? What's your day to day?
Yeah, so the current role really hasn't changed a ton since then. It's on the business development side with architects, interior designers, developers, contractors in our Mid-Atlantic market.
We call that straight hustling.
And
Yeah,
not
baby.
to, and Kev's very modest. Kev's a killer. He's been salesperson of the year here. I mean, he's just every year he's one of our top salespeople. Every year he does a tremendous job.
Yeah, don't be fooled by his balding.
He's the backbone of the DC market. I mean, he's been in the territory for so long. So great mentor to the younger guys. Helps Danny out a lot in that territory. Is being a kind of a leader, mentor, being bigger name in the territory. So he's way too modest, but you got to tire pump a guy when he needs to be pumped.
No, man, I'll pump myself
Yeah.
up. I'm not that modest.
Yeah.
I think as a team, we work hard, and that will probably be the biggest thing that changed over over time. We always bring a team and a collaborative approach to the market, but as Spartan has hired more people and our team has grown, it's really been important to act like as an adult, with a responsible approach to our teammates and a cognitive approach to the teammates. We always say collaboration is the best. At Spartan, we represent a lot of manufacturers' products, and the strength in that is our team approach. Aside from sounding cheesy, it's really the secret to that success. We communicate a lot all day long, and it's important. So I try to make an effort to lead by example. I think it's important to do that.
Perfect.
And I think you do.
You
I
do.
appreciate
You
that.
do. What do you think makes it? Why is it? I mean, we've all been here for a long time. What do you think makes it so special working at Spartan?
I think for me and us being like wrapping around that 15-year period, I think it's still, the energy is still as the same that it was year 1, 2, 3. I think there's a clear direction where we want to go. Oftentimes, when there's a clear direction, you kind of get into cruise control. We have not been able to do that. I think it has a lot to do with the fact that we represent so many products, and there's so many different opportunities to go in different directions with your day, and that keeps it exciting, man. And it's it's chaotic at times, and we have plans in place on Sunday night and what the week looks like, and usually by Tuesday morning that's turned upside down a couple different times.
It happens.
And it just keeps it fresh, right? It really does not allow, for me personally, and I believe this is probably pretty consistent with most people on our team or throughout the company, there's no room to get complacent because things are changing so fast all the time. And it just keeps it interesting and exciting.
Nice.
Well, it's like life. I mean, right when you think everything is on cruise control,
Yeah.
something is swinging in here. And I've gotten to the point now, I feel like I'm jaded. After 5 years of just nonstop insanity, COVID this and that, like, I'm just waiting for that next shoe to drop. I'm ready. I'm like crouching tiger, ready for this shit.
Hidden Dragon. I'll tell you the thing for me is it has to be crazy. I only can I like insanity. Even everywhere. Like I like insanity at work. I like craziness outside of it. Like if my kids have 4 games in a weekend, I'm trying to get to all 4, whether it's logistical or not.
100%, dude.
I like the craziness because I think it's inherent in working here. You can't. There's nothing normal. Well, Kev's not normal, so that it all trickles down from the top. But I think it works out. There's really no template on how to do it. You have to create it on yourself. I think the entrepreneurial opportunity here is different than anywhere else you can go.
Yeah, man. And so to the point you just made, I think it's really good using that family example with 4 different games. Man, those are all good things. Those are privileges, right? And so the chaos that goes along with that is a cool thing.
Yeah.
Like you have the opportunity because we do the same in our house too, and I know you do too, Joey. Like you got chaotic schedules and things that need to happen, and we're all lucky to have really, really good wives that keep that shit straight, right? And point me in the direction, us in the direction.
Shout out to Andrea Magbury
to get there and get that stuff done. But it's just an extension. Chaos during the week, chaos on the weekends. I wouldn't want to have it any other way.
Me neither.
It just keeps it rolling.
Me neither.
That might be where I disagree with you guys. On the weekends,
Well, we've already heard.
it's just so crazy. Like, and I'm like, let me catch my breath a minute. I mean, my kids, I feel like, are in more and more sports. Delaney did make that ODP team.
We heard.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
That's
quite
awesome.
the event
That's
last
awesome.
night. Yeah,
That's
so
awesome.
Did she just find out last night?
Yesterday, yeah. I was
dude,
out to
that's
dinner, and yeah, when I walked out of there, I had this missed call, made the team, and I was like, wow,
That's
what an
fantastic.
accomplishment for her,
Fantastic.
wanted-
That's awesome for her.
Worked off, and I told her I would mention it on the podcast today. So Delaney,
Yeah,
there you go.
there you go.
You're
There were a
Congrats,
couple
Delaney.
clicks. Yeah,
Yeah.
nice job.
But yeah, man. When I'm like, hey, Andrew, what do we got today? And she mentions like the 8,000 things that have to do with. I'm like, oof, brutal. But,
All right, so you're a huge football fan. Let me ask you this. So if that schedule is clear on a Sunday and you got those football games lined up starting at 1, right? Are you very comfortable watching all the way through the late game?
100%. I watched
Yeah.
I watched the pregame. You know, if there, I mean, schedule's clear, dude. Get out of my way. I will DoorDash. I will sit there.
No, we're not. I would say everybody's okay with the double DoorDash in a day. I've
done it.
I've had
Yeah.
the same guy come to the house twice in one day.
I mean,
It's okay.
if you put a calorie,
No shame.
That's
if,
awesome.
if you put a step counter on me, I mean, I bet you I've been under 500 steps.
Do you change TVs? Or are you in the same TV?
Same
already?
TV.
Right there.
Now,
Well, maybe
How
for
about
that
this,
late
right?
game, I might mosey on up there. And,
what about like we've learned, Kev? We learned this earlier in the episode is that come holiday season, if Andrea's outside putting the Christmas lights on the house because Joe does not, he could be laying on the couch watching a football game and she's out doing it, and he's not out there helping. Now that now that wouldn't fly very well at my house. How about yours?
No, I mean I don't. No, not at all. There's you always hear these podcast terms. We can unpack that a couple different ways.
we could. I mean, there's just certain things that I just don't care about. And outdoor, I love the inside decorations. The outside.
Are you helping with that? Like, are you? Let me ask you this: are you bringing the boxes up? Are you helping carrying the boxes up?
Phil, 100%.
All right,
I do
good.
that because
All
they're
right.
downstairs in the basement,
Yeah.
storage area. So I carry those bad boys.
All right,
up.
so
and if you ask me, that's most of the work.
It is.
Yeah.
How about
working.
how about bringing the Christmas tree to the room? Do you get that out of storage and carry that whole
I
thing
do.
up? Okay. All right. So you're halfway there.
Yeah, I just don't put it together.
Okay.
We're having the lights on it.
So
Is Andrea like ever looking at you, being like, "Would you like to help?" Or is it understood now that
I mean, it was kind of like a running joke because,
Yeah.
like, there, especially like I would pour wine and I would just sit there, and I'm like, you know, as we talk about it, I sound terrible, but I swear I'm not that bad. But yes, I have nothing to do with a lot of that.
I love this. This is my favorite thing. And then I think one of the main things why Kev's here and something we want to touch on here at the end here is
Cue the
that
music.
there's 3 guys here in this room that are going to be attempting something in the second weekend of November. We're all going to be running the Rocky Run Philadelphia 10 miler.
Yeah.
Yep.
Something to strive for.
Yeah. You mentioned it. What are your goals? You think time wise you're going to do this?
Well,
in?
I have
or minute?
all right. So I did one in August, and I was somewhere in the 9:30 range. So I did it in like an hour and 27 minutes. My goal is to be.
No, you were in the 8:30 range.
I'm sorry,
8:30
8:30
range.
8:30 range.
Running on the sand.
Yeah. So my goal here is to be in the 8.
fast.
I'm looking to be 8:30.
I think
That's
you're
my
going to smoke
goal.
that.
I
The
wanna-
sand's hard to run.
I want to
on.
be 8. I want to be 8:30. That's what I want.
That's
my,
awesome.
Kate is.
If I can round out like 9:15, I'd be okay with where I'm at right now. I ran a half marathon in April, and it was not it was not pretty. I did a triathlon, a half Ironman like 5 years ago.
Right.
And the half marathon pace by itself this past April was slower than the marathon I did in the half Ironman, in 2019.
Yeah.
So it's been tough. Not bad. I'll get through it. It'll be all right. All good. But I think 9:15 is where I want to be living. I will say this. Talk about Delaney had that big win yesterday. Lexi, my daughter's recovering from ACL surgery, and she and I ran last night for the first time.
Nice.
And
Nice.
She was able to get a mile in.
Good.
So she's on the other this
Good.
week alone. She's allowed to.
Was it sore?
allowed to start running? She said she felt good.
Yeah.
She's pretty tough though. So I'm like overly sensitive, asking like, "Are you sure you're good?
Yeah.
Are we good? Are we good? How we feeling?" But yeah, she was able to put that mile down for the first time in 5 months.
There we go. Pick up the
Good,
Lexi.
yeah, good up. Big
Now we're
ups.
talking.
What's the goal? What's the longest you're planning on running prior to the race?
I think I'll get a solid 4 mile run in prior, and then I'm coming in pretty cold to this event. And for that 4 mile run, I think I'll go like 8:50, 9 minutes. I think I'm
Okay.
that's
That's
reasonable.
We're having a big adult sleepover at the Carey house prior to it.
Yeah.
What's your goal, Joe? What are you trying?
I'm going with Kevin Dunn here. I'm thinking around 9:30 a minute. I'm probably not going to hit the 10 miles until I actually do the race itself.
Well, no, I don't think anyone's going to run 10 miles prior to it. I'm not planning on doing
All right,
10.
good. But I have again in my own head sometimes I can make myself believe that I can do things whether I can or not. But I did this Seagull Century bike race. It was like 63 miles, and I didn't ride one. I didn't train for this thing like at all. I just showed up one day and actually went out for a little bit of soiree, a little party the night before, and I completed that race. But my God, was that brutal.
A bit challenging. I heard that race in particular gets really windy as well. Like every year, I hear horror stories that people. Cause is it an out and back on that Seagull race?
No, you're not back. I mean, it's a different
Big
course the whole
circle?
time,
Oh,
but
it is.
at the end, you do have to go up over an overpass, which, every 20 miles there's a break where you can eat bananas and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
First 20, I remember getting off. I'm like, piece of cake. Second 20, when my leg came over the side of that bike, it was like my entire body seized up, and pieces of my body that I didn't even know could be sore really started to hurt. And by the time I got to the end of that thing, I was like, oh my. I could barely get up, like, to go to the bathroom, like, in the middle of the night. I'm like, this is brutal. So I'm thinking that's what this is going to be like, but I'll see you boys at the finish line.
And you know what?
A couple cheesesteaks make it all good.
Oh, yeah. Pasta, right?
No, we're going to get cheesesteaks afterwards.
Oh, okay.
Celebratory cheesesteaks.
But don't we want to have some carbohydrates the night before?
I'm working on that.
All right, cool.
We're going to have a whole thing. We're going to IV. We're going to go do the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, we'll be
Reminds me of that the Office episode where they ran a 5K. And Michael was carbo loading. Michael Scott was like at the race at the
Fettuccine Alfredo.
Okay. Fettuccine Alfredo. Time to carbo load.
Yeah, like throughout the race.
Told Toby to go the wrong way. Toby Flanderson. Oh, jeez. Well, listen, Kev. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for joining the podcast, man.
Clubhouse here.
Get ready. We'll post our times on the next next podcast.
Hopefully, we have this one out prior to finishing, but
Yeah.
it'll be. We'll see.
And that's a wrap.
And that's a wrap.